It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. I welcome the podcast where me, the Captain, talks about movies, TV, sports, flicks, anything you can see on a two-board screen. I like to get out here and give my unique perspective, because after 47 years of being on planet Earth, I've developed a new perspective about these movies, TV, sports, and flicks, and I like to get into about it, because just maybe you care. And according to the stats, it looks like you do care. I want to give a big shout out to Staten Island. Got some plays over in Staten Island this past week. Gracias, gratitude, doraba. In Staten Island, the first thing I think about when I hear Staten Island is Shaolin, Wu-Tang. I got some plays from the home of the Wu-Tang Clan, Shaolin. Very cool that we got some plays in Staten Island. I appreciate that. Gracias, gratitude. And just FYI, back in the day I went to school to radio DJ, but never got a job. I think I never got a job because I just didn't have the drive. If I would have had just a little bit more drive, then maybe that would enable me to become a radio DJ. But it didn't, and that allowed me to become the greatest podcaster in the Matrix. Some to debate might be true, might not be true, but I said it on the internet, so it's gotta be true, right? Because everything on the internet is facts, not facts, true, false, propaganda, fake news, the Matrix, water, soda, milk, orange juice, energy drinks. I don't know. I didn't make the internet. Ask the people that made the internet. So when you're in line, just be aware, just watch out. Anyways, I could ramble all day, but wrong. Let's get right into the podcast. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like rap? Well, if you do, SonZu Cosmic, the lover of hot fries and spitter of cosmic raps, has dropped a new track on all DSPs. He dropped a track called Zen With A Pen. So if you want to hear some of the craziest rhymes and beats you've ever heard, check out Zen With A Pen by SonZu Cosmic. I guarantee you've not heard anything that sounds like this. He's just a wild, crazy spaceman who raps crazily. So check it out. I'll put the link below. Now, let's get on with the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back again. We just got done with 600 last episode. 600 is in the books. Great time, great experience. I love it that we hit that milestone. But that's over. Now we at 601. Time to get back to business. Now we always appreciate milestones on the journey. Of course, we pay attention, we celebrate, and we respect them. And we don't dwell there too long because there's more work to be done. Now, my belief on this path is we're going to hit milestones, we're going to hit markers, we're going to hit goals, we're going to get there, right? But don't stop there, move to the next one. We stop, we recognize, we appreciate, we say, yeah, we did it, we're glad, and then we keep moving to the next goal, to the next place. This is how I move. Maybe you move that way as well. I hope you do. Don't just stop and be okay with that. Don't just stop and be satisfied. Strive to do better, do more, be greater, right? And we can attain many things if we do this. 600. Yeah, that's cool. But let's go to 700 now. And let's go for 800. Then 900. Then a G, baby. We just gonna keep going for as long as we can go, as long as we can do this. As long as I am blessed to do this, I will continue to do this. And I appreciate all you guys that come on this journey with me. Because I know we got some regular listeners. I see you guys. I recognize that. I appreciate that. I interact with you guys occasionally here and there, and I appreciate you guys found this journey of movies, TV, sports, and flicks, and anything else you can see on the tube or screen. Thank you very much. So yeah, I appreciate that. But now it's time to podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, this last week, I went back to the old Wild West. Oh yeah, it was great. I got to watch Lawmen, Reeves. Phenomenal episode, great episode, But before I get into that, a couple things. First of all, there will be spoilers. And second of all, I do own some shares in the parent company of Paramount Plus. I just want to be clear and transparent to let you know. Now that I told you that, let's get into Lawmen, Bass, Reeves, Part 3. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want to say before I go any deeper into this podcast is, man, the Wild West must have been so chaotic. As I'm watching the episode, actually the first 3 episodes, as I'm watching what goes on in the Wild West and seeing how things are and just pondering and thinking about, bro, and compare with today's society, how life must have been. It just must have been so chaotic, right? Modern society, there's so many things we take for granted as far as keeping us safe and secure. But back then, old Wild West, late 1800s, they didn't have a lot of the stuff we got, bro. And I suspect it was a more cutthroat society. Now in Bass Reeves, it's not really depicted too much that way. It shows a little bit, but I'm thinking it might just been a little more cutthroat than that. I mean, there are so many things we have today to keep people in line, to keep people from just acting crazy and taking advantage of each other. There's a lot of things in place. I feel in Bass Reeves' world, there's not as many things in place to keep that safety and security intact. But I don't know, maybe just a strength on the existence of people like Bass Reeves kept people in check. And the possibilities of what would happen if you did things that you weren't supposed to. Bass Reeves is gonna come and get you. And you go see that judge that made him a lawman. Because in the episode, Bass Reeves became a lawman, part 3. He went to the Bible, put his hand on it, and said the oath, and he became a marshal, baby. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't that chaotic. Maybe the possibility of you act out of line, Bass Reeves is coming to see you. He's gonna pick you up, take you to this judge, can't remember his name, and you could possibly be hung on a rope. Maybe that's just enough. Maybe that kept people in check. I don't know. But it would be interesting to study and find out exactly how chaotic it was back then. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like it is today. But I don't know, man. I highly suspect it wasn't. The vast area of unexplored territory in the United States, undeveloped. And if it wasn't people going to get you, all the wild animals crawling, prowling all over the U.S. You're out there on your horse. You're out there in a wagon. You're out there walking. I hope you're not walking, but you might be walking those lands. And just random animals creep up on you and get you for dinner. Like they're hungry, they want to eat you. I mean, it just seems like as a modern human being, at least the way I came up, living in the inner city, the city. And if I was somehow transported back to the late 1800s with none of the fancy stuff I got today, with nothing, just transported just as me as is, and here, bro, survive, I'll be honest, man, people like me might not be able to do that well. Now I know in 2023, there's a lot of people that are like survivalists, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, these kind of people that are trained and learn the ways of the old and learn how to live off the land, learn how to do all those things. Well, guess what? The captain don't know none of that. I'd be screwed, bro. And I suspect there's a lot of people like me out there on planet Earth that if we were transported back to the 1800s, we'd be screwed. All this fancy knowledge I have today, all this thing I talk about, would not serve me that well back in the day. I'm just saying. Maybe I should learn these things. Maybe I should spend my time in the next few years just learning how to live off the land, learn how to fish, hunt, learn all these things they teach in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, how to start a fire, all these things. Maybe that's something I can start doing in 2024. I don't know. But who knows? All I know is that it seems like the Wild West, a little chaotic. So yeah, the first 3 episodes I'm thinking that, but in this particular episode, I want to get into something a little deeper about Bass Reeves. So part 1, part 2, we get a feel that Bass Reeves has a great moral compass. In the first 2 episodes, I got the feeling that Bass Reeves would make the right choice in all situations. Those things would happen, and he would make the more godly choice, the more righteous choice, the more benevolent choice when situations came up. And in this episode, we got to see an example of what Bass Reeves would choose when a scenario came up where he could have chose a path that wasn't as benevolent. So in the episode, Bass Reeves gets this guy named Billy Crow. They pick him up because he's like stagecoach robber or something like that, or he did something. And he's got a posse guy that came with him to help, right? And they go pick him up and they're transporting him back. And on the transportation back, they got to stop, bro. They got to stop and rest, sleep, whatever. They're getting cold. They're whining because it's cold. It's so cold. Yeah, turn the fire. I'm cold. And they're whining about cold. Yeah, you know, sometimes it gets cold. I get it. Bass Reeves didn't, by the way. But anyways, you know, they're talking, whatever. And then Billy Crow, I think his name's Billy Crow, tells Bass Reeves and the posse man, like, bro, I know where the money's at. You know, part of this crew, there's a lot of money. We got to stash somewhere. I know where that money's at. So I know exactly where it's at. Let me tell you where it's at. And you guys let me go. And then Bass Reeves, you know, sitting there thinking. But the posse man's like, whoa, you know where all this dinero's at? You know where all this cash is at? You know where all this moolah's at? I mean, he got all excited. He's like, whoa, moolah, cash, whoa, where it at, bro? And then I think Billy Crow tells him. And then the posse man's like, Bass Reeves, you know what? We about to let this dude go. We about to get this money, forget all about it. That's what we're doing. And Bass Reeves like, my job is to take Billy Crow in, and that is what we are doing. But the posse man's like, bro, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. We going to get this money. We going to get these Benjamins. They had Benjamins back then? I don't know, but I'm going to call them Benjamins. Guess what we call them now? We're going to get this Benjamins. We're going to get this money, bro. I'm telling you right now. And then, whoo, about to be some conflict. Guns are about to come out. And then in that instance, the posse man gets shot by somebody else. But it just shows that Bass Reeves will make the right choice, the right call when he needs to. Because in that moment, he could have said, bro, I got 5 kids or 4 kids and 1 kid coming at home. A lot of mouths to feed. You know, this cash, this money would help with that. You know, no one will know. No one will know. We're just going to take this money, get rid of Billy Crow. No, we got to tell nobody we just had this cash. And I'll have this money to take care of my wife and my kids that's coming. Right? I mean, it's tempting. I mean, I might not even tempted him. But that's something he could have did with it. He's like, nah, that's not what we do. No, I live a certain way of life. I live by certain codes. I live a certain way, a certain path. And my path, the way I view things, a very biblical, a religious person, spiritual person. I don't do that. And I just love that so far in the first 3 episodes of Bass Reeves, is that this guy will make the right choice. This guy makes the good choices, right? I love this dude already. In a time I said was very chaotic, in a time I feel people operated like by that book Power by Robert Greene. If you ever read that, if you haven't, check it out. It's a really good book. But I just feel the Wild West was more chaotic, more cutthroat. And to make those righteous choices in that world must have been extremely difficult. And this man did it. And this man comes from a very hard background to get where he's at. And he could have took a lot of shortcuts many times. And in the show, he's not taking shortcuts. He's making the good choice. And I totally respect that. And I totally like that. And like I said, the last episode I talked about this show, I feel on the television, a lot of the stuff we're getting on all these media television shows and reality shows is not that. We're seeing a lot of individuals make poor choices based on their emotions and all these things they're feeling, and not taking a moment to think through the choices and taking a moment to really make the good call, the just call, the good choice. And we can see Bass Reeves do that. And then one last thing I want to talk about as well. In the episode, Bass Reeves encounters a few of these people that did some bad things. And so they got to go see the judge, right? And then Bass Reeves thinks all these people like, man, they just made some poor choices. You know, aren't these guys redeemable? But the judge he works with, the judge is like always want to hang everybody. He's always hanging everybody all the time. Oh, we gonna hang him, they getting hanged. You did this, you get hanged. I don't care if you were hungry, you get hanged. You get he's hanging people all day. He just loves hanging people. And understandably, he's got to enforce the law. It's his job to do that. I get that. But Bass Reeves is like, bro, you know, with his godly heart, his good moral compass, he's like, man, maybe there's just some people that just made some bad choices. Maybe they can have redemption. Maybe if we just, you know, help them. He doesn't say this, but it seems like maybe these guys can be helped, right? And it just shows you what a good dude this guy is. Now, everybody that's heard this podcast knows how much I love Jean-Luc Picard. And I've said the reason I love Jean-Luc Picard because he was just an example of a good dude. And it's been a long time since I've seen an example of a good dude on TV where I can say this dude's always going to make the good calls. And I know we're only 3 episodes in, but it just seems like Bass Reeves to me is on that Jean-Luc Picard level as far as making the benevolent good choices. I'm loving it so far. I hope somehow later in the series he compromises his values and beliefs and his integrity. Hope he doesn't do that. But so far, I'm loving it. I wouldn't have thought that like a Old Wild West show. But I've always liked that actor. He was in a show like a long time ago that I used to watch. I love this show. I used to watch a show called MI5. It's a British show about MI5, the spy agency. And this guy was in it for a few seasons. And I thought he was magnificent back then, way back then. I mean, this is probably like 10, 12, 13, I remember a year. This was a long time ago. And I saw him in the show, and I thought he was great in it. And every time I've seen this guy act, he's been great. I remember he had this movie on HBO, which is phenomenal. And I'll be honest, that movie actually spoke to me a lot. I saw some of myself in him, and I changed some of the way I was acting at that moment in time. I saw just a slight little bit of myself, and I was like, bro, I just slow my roll up. He was great in that. He's been great in everything I've seen him in. I knew his acting would be superb. I love him. He's fantastic. Great actor. So yeah, if you've not seen Lawmen Bass Reeves yet, take a trip to the Old Wild West. Might be fun. You might enjoy it. Hear some cowboy slang. You know, see some pistols. See some sharp shooting. Some lassos, some horses, some hay rides. I don't know. We're gonna see some cowboy stuff. So anyways, yeah, great show. Loved it. And that's it for this episode. And until next time, we'll see you. Our bodies are gardens, to which our wills are gardeners. William Shakespeare. Until next time, it's Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.